right, so welcome to the Vendor Voice with Stratton Inspections. We want to introduce our guests today. We've got Angela Kiernan and Ashley. Is it Ashley Kiernan?
It's Ashley. No, we're not related, Paul.
Well, you looked at me like I've changed my name. So
and Ashley Predetto.
And Ashley Predetto.
In the last 20 seconds, she changed her name.
And they're with Magnus Title, and they are the A-team with Magnus Title. So welcome. And
hello.
Love having you guys here.
Thanks.
And we absolutely love Angela and Ashley. They're two of our favorite people.
And we love you guys. You're our favorite too.
So I have a great memory about both of you. So first of all, I think I met you at an event like 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago. We've known each other for a long time, and it was nice to have another vendor at this event, because sometimes I feel like as a vendor, you know, we're kind of stuck out in the rain, and the agents are kind of in their little groups. So it's nice to talk to other vendors there and be able to just communicate and talk, and we're not
have a friendly face.
Right, have a friendly face. Right?
Have our
I agree.
I remember you were at another Christmas event, and I think you were one of the only vendors there along with me.
Yeah.
And you actually came up to me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, good,"
Thank goodness.
because I was kind of a loner at that point, you know, and I didn't know a lot of people, and it was just nice to have somebody come up and talk to me.
And Paul's so shy.
Yeah. Right?
I think we always
I really
migrate
am.
to each other too.
Yeah.
Totally.
We love seeing you guys at events. Oh my gosh, when Stratton's involved, we're like, oh my gosh, Stratton.
Wouldn't miss it. Oh my gosh, I feel the same way about you. I just like light right up. I'm like, oh, my girls are here. Okay.
Well, it's nice, and that's why we called this the Vendor Voice, is because I feel like a lot of times we're kind of at a school dance where the real estate agents are over here and the vendors are over here, and we're all kind of in our own little cliques, and kind of how we can bridge that gap and kind of intermingle. And it's been nice with you guys in the industry for so long. You guys know a lot of people, and you guys are well stamped. So it's been nice to get to know you and associate with you, and I couldn't have a better guest on the podcast today. So.
Oh, thanks,
Thank
Paul.
you.
Agreed. And I just have to add to that, like, just as long as I've worked with you, Angela's been both of you have been one of our biggest, like, you know, supporters, or you've helped Paul grow his business. I knew when I stepped in, that's one of the things right away I recognized. I'm like, Angela's like out there saying really good things about Stratton Inspections and getting our name out, and we really appreciate it so
I feel
much.
like that's one of the best ways to grow, right? I mean, not even as just us as vendors, but that's how realtors grow, right? Is that they help by referral.
Right,
So
word
when
of
people
mouth.
ask me what inspector do you refer, I always say Paul Stratton. You have to call Paul Stratton. So
Well, we very much appreciate that.
And we feel the same way about Magnus Title and you guys. So it's been great that you've been a great advocate of ours, and we feel the same about you guys. So
thank you guys.
I have some questions for you.
Oh boy.
We love those.
All right. So Angela, just real quick, you've been in the industry quite a while.
Yes.
And,
She's like, don't put a number on that.
Right.
We're not going
and
to age
so
anybody here.
What drew you to Title?
So truthfully, this is so funny. You guys know Lisa Macbeth, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Lisa Macbeth and I used to work at a golf course together. I mean, I'm talking, we were babies.
Were you selling drinks or what?
Yeah, we were beer car girls. And so we had this lifelong dream of being pharmaceutical sales reps. And remember back in early 2000s, this is what every girl's dream. I mean, we wanted to go to doctor's offices and sell drugs. Truthfully, that's what we wanted. We wanted the expense account. We wanted a company car. And so I got my first job. I was working for a realtor in Ahwatukee. I was right out of college. I was super young. And I was also working at a golf course, and I was doing all the things. And so the title company downstairs needed a sales rep. And there's a realtor who's still in the industry to this day. He works with Magnus Title. His name is Nicholas Scheel. And he was working with this title company. And he said, my title company needs a sales rep. And I said, and ironically enough, this is funny, because the sales manager for the title company, that Magnus Title, is Kim Brooks. And so she was the sales rep that this particular realtor I was working for, we were using. So
She's in Scottsdale, right?
That's correct. Yep. And so I said, gosh, I would hate to compete with Kim. I love her so much. But I've always wanted to be in pharmaceutical sales. And what's better than being in pharmaceutical sales is being a title rep for a title company, because I actually know this industry. I've been working for this realtor for like 6 months, and I think I could do this job. So I walked downstairs and I said, who do I need to call? And he said, call this person. So the next day I went and I interviewed at this title company, and she hired me. And I got myself a job for this title company, and I called Lisa Macbeth and I said, okay, they need a sales rep in the West Valley, and you could be just like a pharmaceutical sales rep, but for a title company. And she said, I'm in. And so that's how Lisa and I both got into the title business. And it was 20 something years ago.
Wow.
That
and
is-
she stayed in too?
Totally.
Right.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And so that's how I got into the title business. And I know it's probably not that great of a story, but we were dead set on being pharmaceutical sales reps.
I think it's a great story.
Well, you went from alcohol reps on the golf course
That's
to
correct.
title reps.
Which sometimes
Basically
can
the
be an
same.
alcohol rep.
Yeah,
Basically the
but
same.
that's how it happened. But truthfully, I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's been great.
Well, and you're really good at it too. You're good at communicating. You're good at relationships, and I think it's been a great fit for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love it. And
Ashley, real quick question for you. So I know you were a cheerleader for U of A.
I was,
Right?
yes.
So did you go straight out of college there into title then?
I didn't go straight into title. I graduated in 2016, and I had this big dream that I was going to move to LA, and it was going to be this big, easy thing. And as well, it was a super big blessing, and I learned a lot. So I moved there with no job. I was like, what am I going to do? So at the time, my mom worked for Keller Williams, and she said that she would call in a favor at the Keller Williams office. So she called Keller Williams Beverly Hills. They needed a receptionist. So I started as the receptionist there. I worked as the receptionist for about a year, and then one of the top teams needed an executive assistant. So I decided to get my real estate license. Then COVID happened. I was working there for about 3.5 years, and I decided to move back. And then my mom called in another favor to Kim Brooks and said, my daughter needs a job. She wants to move back. So I interviewed with Kim. She hired me right away. In my first week of work, she said, you need to go train with Angela. And at the time, I was like, who's this Angela girl? Okay, I'll come in and train with Angela. So switched to title, and then they shut down all the offices, and I knew Angela was still in the office. So I called her up and I said, hey, I really have no idea what I'm doing. I know a little bit about real estate. But can I come in and work under you? So long story short, fast forward to now we've been working together for 4 years, but it definitely helped having the real estate background and knowing a little bit about the real estate side of stuff. But I cannot be more thankful to have switched to title because it's just so much better and it's way more fitting for me. Being the front desk, I always worked with the agents too, so it's very similar to what I started out doing, and I just love building relationships with the agents and helping them grow their business. But yeah, I definitely think that it was a blessing in disguise having that real estate background. So
Well, and you got to learn from the best in the
Yeah.
industry too, so that's
Totally.
amazing.
Seriously, and you guys have meshed so well together. It's been fun to watch you guys grow and watch how you guys have come together, and it's really neat to see you guys work together.
I would say I'm her mini me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think so too. I couldn't ask for a better partner.
Yeah.
I couldn't ask for, I think we complement each other in so many
100%.
ways.
Definitely. Yeah, I
Absolutely.
agree.
Paul and I have both commented on that so many times. We're like, they're just like, they balance each other out in this like perfect way. You guys
Yeah.
have this like great relationship. So.
And as I
Awesome.
mentioned before, Tiffany and I have watched you guys and watched your social media and watched everything that you've done. We've watched it at events, and we're just so happy to be a part of you guys and just see what you guys have done.
Right.
So-
have a relationship with you guys and
You know.
watch and learn from you two. You got to figure it out.
Likewise.
So another question for you: how has cheerleading at a university? How has that helped you in this industry?
First, I'd say being in front of a camera all the time. That's definitely helped with social media at first. It definitely made me nervous and I was shy, but it definitely has led me to be more confident in front of the camera and be a little bit more of myself and not being afraid, to be who I am. But also being put at a young age in front of these vendor partners. We were always put in
Right.
front of the donors. We had to talk, we had to communicate, make these conversations with these really big people who were donating millions of dollars to the school. So I think that too really made me social, made me outgoing, and not nervous to have conversations with big, powerful people. So I think that's what led me to be confident in the role, and be able to establish really good relationships with people.
Right. Just being in front of a crowd and being in front of people. That's one thing I really struggled with in the beginning, is I was so sheltered a little bit growing up, for one, and then the communication I lacked there. I felt like I did anyway. So I had to fake it to make it, kind of. I had to fake it to
so
make
good.
it.
Paul shy?
So good.
I know,
I
right?
don't think so. I believe it.
And so that's awesome. What questions do you have?
I actually would just like a little education on what a title rep does. Like, what is your role in the real estate industry?
Perfect.
Well, how much time do you have, Tiffany?
All the time you need.
We wear a lot of hats. That's
We
for
do.
sure.
Well, and I think a lot of
Dumb
people...
it down for me.
Right. And a lot of people don't know exactly what title does. So it would be good information to get from you guys on what exactly...
I think to start, what title does is we are definitely a third party disinterested. So we are the facilitators between the client, the lender, and the realtor, right? And we want to make sure that we're providing you with clear title,
Right.
so that way you can own your home free and clear, right? With free and clear title. And obviously, like I said, we are the facilitators. So we want to make sure that you are, we basically do all the paperwork. I mean, I know that sounds very...
Well, no, but you guys
Somebody
also...
has to do it.
You guys also have to look into if it is clear or not.
Correct.
And what would determine a clear title and not a clear title.
We pull a title report, and so
We make sure they don't have liens on
Yes,
the
we-
property.
yes.
They
Sorry.
aren't late on their HOA fees.
correct.
Simple stuff like that. But that all takes into account if we are able to release the title, free and clear title.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so, for example, if you want an example, do they have tax liens? Do they have, I mean, it could be as simple as, child support. It could be as simple, I mean,
Right.
there's different kinds of liens, HOA liens, like Ashley said. Someone may have not have paid their HOA for a year. You go in and buy a property. We're seeing a lot right now of cash deals, right?
Wow.
So say, for example, someone comes in, they buy a cash deal, but there's still an HOA on the property. They could have a, $10,000 HOA lien. We want to get that taken care of before you buy the home.
Right, because then you're stuck with that.
Correct. So,
And another thing too, right now, believe it or not, is there's a lot of fraudulent people that will call and pretend to be someone else. So another role of us is to triple check that everything's accurate. So check the ID, check the phone number that's associated with the property, triple check the tax records, calling and making sure everything's correct.
Wow.
That's been another thing that's been happening a lot. So it's super important for us to, triple check all the steps that come along with that too. But that's another thing that's been happening a lot. Yeah.
yeah, for example, we just, or fraudulent sellers.
Yep.
I think a lot of title companies are dealing with this right now. And
They're
it's,
acting as the seller?
That's correct.
Gotcha, okay.
So, for example, we always have to make sure that we're calling and saying, we want to make sure that this is your wire information, that this is your phone number, that this is the phone number that you gave us when we opened escrow. We want to make sure that this is actually, in fact, your bank before we send a wire. Just all of those things, because fraud is really running rampant right now. And everybody is seeing this, lenders, title companies. So,
Lots of internet leads. Yeah.
I'm seeing it with rentals.
I'm
Everything.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. It's not just us, it's everyone.
Yep.
You guys wear an investigator hat. Like, that's one of your main roles, it sounds like, is
Literally.
you're
Yeah.
investigating.
And
a
not so
lot.
much us, but the escrow staff, the title department. So, it happens all the time.
Yeah, it's
And
crazy. We
so-
actually had an inspection last week that canceled, and it was like last second, like day of cancellation, which doesn't happen a lot, fortunately. But when it does, there's usually like, oh, what's going on? And they said that they found out that the seller, who was claiming to be the seller, wasn't actually the seller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like, and we were like, how does that even
Right,
happen? So
right.
this is interesting to hear from your end.
Thank goodness that they caught it, because that could have gotten really bad. I mean, this is happening all the time. Like I said, it's not discriminatory. It's not one title company or another. It's not one lender or another. It's happening across the board, right? And so,
It's crazy the way people come up with
And
scams.
it
like,
financially tanks
oh,
the
truthfully,
innocent, literally.
I have someone at my gym who told me that a buyer of a home and didn't use us for a title company, and that's okay, but told me that when they wired their funds, that it was when they went to wire their funds, that the title company sent him wiring instructions, and he didn't call the title company to verify, and he wired $80,000. And
Wow, that's a lot.
now, keep in mind, his lender said, make sure you call. The title company said, make sure you call. And he just wired the funds and $80,000.
Gone.
Yeah.
Gone.
And so, but
That's horrible.
I'm pretty sure that most title companies, us included, obviously, have a make sure you contact your escrow officer before you wire funds. And so that's just a reminder to all realtors, to all lenders, to everyone, have these conversations up front. I know we do. I mean, we have every email that we send out, wire fraud, wire fraud. So it's happening every single day.
It's really common.
Oh, very, very common.
Yeah.
So
You'd mentioned liening. Anybody can lien a property. I've seen contractors lien. I've seen a handyman lien a property. He didn't get paid or claimed he didn't get paid. And so, what's that process? How do you clear a lien? How do you actually clear that?
how do you clear it? The same way that you put a lien on, you have to get an attorney.
So it's an expensive process.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, we're seeing that a lot. There's a lot of people out there that will go put a contract on a property, and then at the same time, they'll cloud title.
Wow.
Now, that's okay. It's okay. I mean, it just depends on the paperwork that you sign up front. But then if that property doesn't close, and then you have that cloud on, I mean, that happens.
Right.
I
Yeah.
also did want to note something important that I feel like a lot of agents don't realize too is Magnus Title as a whole kind of has 3 separate departments. So Angela and I are in the business development department, which is marketing and support. So we help the agents with all their marketing, their design work, their data, their business planning, and then we have the escrow department. The escrow department actually handles the transaction and the paperwork that's involved. They talk to both sides of the party, and then we also have the title department. The title department is who actually writes the policy. So it's actually 3 separate departments under one roof. So I think a lot of people don't understand that sometimes. So I always like to explain that up front too. I'm like, no, we're in the marketing department. Your
Right.
escrow officer is Patty Hermosillo. So I think a lot of people get confused with that too. But yeah, it really is 3 departments acting as one whole company.
Yeah.
Right. So that leads to my next question. Are you guys able to assess the value of a property?
No, technically
Okay.
no. I mean, but it's very, I mean, I think the reason that Ashley brought that up is because we get calls all the time and people say, Ashley, will you pull a title report for me? And I think that they don't understand that Ashley's not pulling the title report.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
You
they
know?
see Ashley out and about
Right.
all the time. So that's the face they're putting with
Right.
Magnus Title, or Angela's face with Magnus Title.
Exactly. And so they don't understand that she isn't sitting there pulling the title report and closing the escrow and doing their postcards, and pulling their data. And I mean, that would be nice,
Yeah, I
wish I
had that much time.
right?
No kidding.
Not
But
enough hours
Yeah, I
in
was
the day,
gonna
or I
say,
would do it. Yeah.
You have no
Yeah.
time. You're out. You guys are out and about everywhere. I see you
Correct.
everywhere. So
but I think it's important to know that we do have good relationships with all of those people and we can get that taken care of, but it just isn't like that.
your particular role,
Right.
Yeah. So that brings up a good question. So what benefits does a realtor have by partnering with you? Like what are you going to do to add value to their role?
I think we've always looked at ourselves as an extension of our partner's business. So, and by that, it just depends on who the partner is. So, for example, Tiffany, if you were one of our partners and you came to us and said, how can you help me grow my business? We're not just going to marketing vomit on you and say, oh my gosh, you need this. We're going to look at your business. We're going to analyze it. We're going to do a we have a consultative approach with you and see what it is that you need in your business, what it is that maybe you could add to your business. And then we'll sit down with you and consult you and say, for example, say you're a farmer, right? but you're not looking at the exact turnover of your neighborhood. So maybe you've been farming this neighborhood and it has 80 houses and 2% turnover. So we're going to look at that neighborhood and say, well, maybe you could be doing a neighborhood that has at least 1,000 homes with an 8% turnover. And we're going to help you maybe add some to that, or look at a neighborhood that's going to better suit you. Take that consultative approach and find out how we can help grow that a little bit for you. How much money are you throwing into that? How much money should you be throwing into that? Could you be throwing into that? And then we're going to sit down with you and find out what other systems and tools we could add to that to help you and better service you, and ultimately help better service your clients. So using the tools and services that we have. So is it farming? Is it data? Is it as easy as adding open houses? Is it AI? Social media. What does that look like? But it's not just vomiting all the stuff that we have at you. It's more of a consultative approach.
Right. So seeing what their needs are and then helping them think
Correct.
through. That's awesome. So I wouldn't see why, just anybody wouldn't use you guys. That's amazing.
Well, we agree.
It's a huge value.
Yeah, we definitely agree.
That's awesome.
Well, I know I've called you several times with title questions, and it's been very helpful, you answering my questions and causing me, or not, making it so I didn't have to do the runaround with somebody else. You just answered my questions. You were very honest with me, and I really appreciated that because it saved me a lot of time, actually.
Me, honest.
Yeah, of course. And you're the one I call when I have title questions. So
That's why she was just clarifying earlier that's not her role.
I'm the one that said that.
No, we'll always, if we don't have the answer, we'll always get it for you.
Yeah. So are you guys at the
awesome.
closing table then, or no?
No.
At the signing table.
No.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but we always wave at the agents when they come in
Right. Hey.
and say hello to their clients.
Yeah, no.
You guys get to do the really fun stuff. You
Yeah.
get to be friends with the agents, hang out with the agents,
Yeah.
party with the agents.
Yeah, no. Would you add anything to what Tiffany's question earlier?
Yeah, I definitely say each conversation is tailored to the agent. I don't ever have the same conversation. Usually I have a presentation and I always throw it out the window by halfway through, just because I like to talk to the agents, get a feel for what they're doing, what they would like to do more of, what they dislike, and then I, based off of that, follow up with, okay, this is what you probably should be doing. Let's come up with a marketing plan based off of those things that we talked about today. And then really following up too. I think, the first meeting that we have is always going to be a little overwhelming just because we do have so many tools and services. So that's why I really like to narrow it down. Okay, what are your key points here? What are we going to do and implement this into your business? So yeah, definitely making sure it's tailored per agent. And then I have every spreadsheet under the sun for listing presentations for some of the agents, lots of organized folders and stuff. So like I said, it is super, super specific to the agent's business, and it's not a one size fits all.
Well, you guys create a lot of the marketing material for agents, and,
Oh, we
and you've
do.
done some
Yeah.
stuff for us as well.
Yeah.
And did an incredible job.
I think my pitch when I meet with people too is everything that we do is 100% custom and cohesive to your brand, and what I do for you, I'm not going to do for your another agent or even another agent on your team. I want it to be super custom to you. And I always say that the first
Which
time I
is
meet with someone.
super important because
Yeah.
that's where their personality and their branding is going to come out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
that's
I agree.
So, question for you all. What is one of the craziest things you've encountered or heard of on the title side when it comes to fraudulence?
Most recently, I talk to a lot of people at other title companies, and being in this business as long as we have been. And just recently I was talking to somebody at another title company, and seller comes in, signs. We were talking about the fraud stuff. Seller comes in, signs, leaves. Escrow officer gets an email from the seller and says, wire it to this account instead.
Assuming it's the seller.
And the escrow officer says, you got it. Escrow officer should have picked up the phone, called the seller, and said, is this your account? But because she was just face to face with the seller,
right. You
wires
wouldn't even be thinking.
$430,000 and does not call the seller. And other bank intercepts the wire. But that's what I'm talking about. That's how crazy.
So it was some random dude off the street, came in, acted as the seller,
somebody that knew what they were doing.
Right.
Because the
Yeah,
timing on
they've
that
done
would
it
have had to
before.
been just right.
Apparently this is not, was not his first rodeo, right? Because
Right.
obviously the bank had been watching this person.
Oh,
the bank,
to know to intercept that.
But the point is, this is what I was telling you, that this is getting so bad. I mean, there was another instance, I couldn't even tell the story. It's so wild. But where the mobile notary and the fake seller were in on it together and had forged a beneficiary's deed. Wow. And somebody went door knocking and, or they bought the house, and the fake seller told the new buyer the tenants are squatters, when in fact the tenants were the owners of the home.
Wow.
Oh, dear.
And so, we're just seeing so much of this.
It's almost like identity fraud.
It's crazy. And so when you ask about all the crazy things that I've seen, that we've seen, even these are things that have happened in the last few years. And so people ask all the time, why do you need title insurance? Well, because this is why you need title insurance, right? Yep. We get these kinds of calls all the time. I'm assuming other title companies get calls like this all the time.
It's not just you. It's
Yeah.
gonna be...
and now listen, I say this stuff, so I want to put a disclaimer out there. I'm not telling you that the mobile notary is bad. I'm not telling you that I'm not saying this happens to everybody. So this is why when people come to me and say, we'd like to be a mobile notary with Magnus Title, now we have, processes in place to where you have to have so much E&O insurance. You have to get signed up with us. And I think other title companies do the same thing. I'm pretty sure they do, because we want to make sure that we're protecting you. We want to make sure that we're protecting the agent, the buyer, the seller. We want to make sure that if you're signing somebody with our company, that you are a legit mobile notary and that you have all the E&O insurance, that you are exactly that you're representing us.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's so important too, is to let realtors know, by using us, you're covered. Like, we're protected. That protects you.
Correct.
We're the same in the inspection industry. We have to carry, insurance, and that is for our benefit, but also to for the realtors to protect them as well.
Right. It's so important that we have people who are representing us, that if something happens, that we can say, look, this person has all the insurance they should have, that this person, they can back that up. Right. And that we can back that up. So everything is to protect the buyers and the sellers and to protect the agents, And
I do think we've done a really good job talking to the agents about this and training them up on it, especially the agents that take internet leads. If the person won't hop on the phone with you, it's a telltale sign. They're probably not real. Right. I kind of had a hilarious situation happen last week. I was actually in tears laughing. An agent sent me a photo of an ID, and she asked me if I could verify the mailing address for this person. Well, this person had pulled up a property, and the property was in a trust. And so this person's ID said name, trust as their middle name, and then their last name. And I was dying because I was like, this person is so silly. Like, their middle name is not Trust. So I was like, this is not real. You're right. It was a picture of an ID. It wasn't even a scanned file. And we both were just laughing hysterically, because it's just like, these people will do anything to try to get the deal done. So that was really, really funny, and probably the funniest situation that I've had. But there is not a week that goes by where people don't call and ask if I can confirm a mailing address, and then usually I'll pull the phone number for the mailing address and not the actual site address. And if it's out of state too, they'll call this out of state person. They're like, what? Someone's trying to buy my land that's paid a full off and clear.
Gosh.
So it really does happen all the time. But yeah, that was a really funny one.
It's a good thing you guys are really looking at this too. You just skimmed past it. You're done.
And I didn't know that was another benefit you guys add to agents. Like, they can call you and you can run those. Okay. Yeah. So what advice would you give to a new realtor when they're looking for a title rep to partner up with? Like, well,
just call us.
Yeah.
That's the best advice.
Definitely. I would say
call the A team.
Always, someone that's resourceful. Like, if you come to me and let's say that, God forbid the phone number I give you isn't incorrect, like the agents know to come back to me, and I have 13 other programs I can pull the phone number from. I always say that we're kind of like the FBI. Like if you ask us something, I promise we'll find out the solution or the answer to it. So someone that's resourceful, I think we really go out of our way to take care of our people, and likewise they take care of us back. So I think that that's something really big that we pride ourselves in.
Definitely. Yeah.
So we all have a mutual friend in common, Tyler Blair. We both
love
work with
Tyler.
Tyler. We love Tyler. I listen to him speak every chance I get, just because I always draw some nugget from more than one nugget usually. But last time I heard him speak, he threw out the book Unreasonable Hospitality.
Oh, yeah.
And so right away I downloaded that book and I read that book, and it's been phenomenal. And it talks about going above and beyond with customer service, which I feel like like that's always been my belief. And I feel like, Paul's belief is that. So at Stratton Inspections, we're always trying to go over top almost with our customer service to make sure everybody's happy. And I feel like you guys resonate that as well. And so what you were just saying just kind of reminded me of that book, and you're always going to go above and beyond and make sure your clients are taken care of, and that's awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I feel like that too. And I feel like you guys do as well.
Absolutely.
We really try to, because I think a lot of companies, I won't say a lot, but some have gotten away from that physical touch or that person-to-person contact, communication, and a live person, a happy voice on the other line, and I think you guys offer that. It's nice to call you guys your breath of fresh air. Literally you are.
Oh.
And we love visiting with you. We love asking you questions. And it goes back to that customer service. And I guess you could call it old school, but that's what works. It really does, because that's how you
agree.
build a genuine relationship.
We just had an agent in town from Las Vegas, actually, and he spoke for the team, and we did a big mastermind session. And he said, I feel like customer service is going to make a comeback. And it just resonated with me, because I feel like not enough people put emphasis on customer service.
I agree. I feel like it's been lacking for sure.
So, and I think that, I hate to say it, and maybe, I might get in trouble for saying this. I feel like we've been in a little bit of a down market, and I don't think we're going to stay here very long. But I do feel like the agents that are winning right now are putting a lot of emphasis on customer service.
Yes, I agree with that 100%.
And I feel like the agents that have continued to win and continue to be super successful have always put that emphasis on customer service.
Their customer's just not a number.
Right.
Yeah. And I always feel like that's how we all want to be treated, right? When you're doing business with somebody, you don't want to feel like a number. You want to feel like an actual important. I'm important to you, and you're important to me, and we have this relationship, and so you just want people to respect and treat you the way you want to be treated. So I try to do that as well, I think.
Absolutely. And I think with the two of you too, that was something I always respect, is you always answer the phone. You always show up. If you need something done as a rush, you come right away. I mean, you did my personal inspection on my property, and your inspectors are absolutely fantastic. There's never any hiccups, and it is a breath of fresh air. So I know that that's why you do have, or you've built the business that you have, and have so many agents who love you and, want you to be a part of all their events and their meetings and stuff, because you guys are just so great. So
I agree.
Thank you.
You did mine too.
That's right. We did.
So
That's one of the reasons I've steered away from, it's not AI, what's it called, where you have
VA, virtual assistant.
the VA, yeah. I steered away from VA because
He keeps trying to replace me with a VA.
good luck, Paul.
I could not replace Tiffany.
He's like, you know
VA
how much
or no
money I
VA,
can
I
save?
could not
I'm like,
replace
Not
Tiffany.
that much. Not that much.
Not a chance. But and that's one of the reasons I steer away from that. Yeah, can I get cheaper office help possibly, or somebody answer the phone? But it's not the same. They don't know the industry. They're not as personable. The customer service lacks. And so that's why I've stayed away from the VA, the virtual assistants, is for that total reason. Aside from that, I've got Tiffany. She's amazing, and you could never replace her.
Well,
so
everybody loves Tiffany.
y'all need a Tiffany.
Yes.
Thank you.
We all
one of
love
our
Tiffany.
favorites.
I know, for sure. No, we love you, Tiffany. You can never replace Tiffany with a
means
VA.
so
Great
much.
job. You do. Everyone talks about how great you are. So
You
No,
guys
but
are so sweet, because I hold you both up on a pedestal. I hope you know. So that means a
same.
lot. Thank you.
And when you're growing, you start hiring more help, and then you start thinking of the dollars that goes through. But it just doesn't replace, what you get here.
Right.
You can't replace it with VA. That's just my opinion.
Well, yeah, if you call
So-
us nights or weekends, we're going to have an actual person.
And they're going to know what they're
And
talking about.
Yeah,
too.
we have just a great office team put together. Not
Right.
to toot our own horn, but
So if an agent needs to get or somebody buying or an investor needs to get in touch with a title rep, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, we have a team at magnustitle.com, or you can call
Call
us.
me. Yeah. 602-688-4996.
There you go.
But yeah, email's always best because we get each other's emails, and then that will always be the fastest response.
You can also look us up on the gram.
Yeah. Instagram. Message us on
The
the
gram.
Instagram. Yeah.
Okay.
Same thing. 18
and watch
Maisie.
their podcast too. What's your podcast title? Is it
The
A-Team?
Maisie.
I was gonna say I thought it was the
Yeah,
A-Team.
the
Yeah,
A-Team
18
AC.
Maisie.
Because you guys do such a good job and you're very entertaining. I love watching. I love listening.
Oh my gosh. Molly makes us
Yeah, I was
look
gonna
really
say Molly.
good.
It's all Molly's on.
Molly's on. Little plug.
Yeah.
Molly's
Yeah.
fun.
Molly's great. So she makes us look really good.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not hard to do. You're both the most beautiful people on the
Oh my
planet.
gosh, stop it.
Seriously.
I need to hang out over here more often.
Right? Seriously.
Anytime.
We'll be coming back for the next podcast.
Right?
Every podcast.